What is up, everyone? JD here. I hope you're all doing well today. Today, I'm excited to bring you another episode of EDC Walk and Talk. Last week, I forgot to mention that when I put out the budget bug out alternative video out, that was my substitute for last week's walk and talk video. So this week I'm going to be doing more of a traditional, well, not really a traditional. I actually do have a topic that I wanted to kind of hit on, but I just wanted to take a moment to kind of talk about, not that I really feel it's my place, but I just wanted to touch on the fact that there's all this drama that seems to be happening with these larger knife manufacturers or more well-known knife manufacturers. I don't have all the details. I've kind of been researching it, but I wanted to get some feedback and input from you guys about what's going on with HINDERER. Now, I did try a HINDERER. I had tried a 3.5 inch XM18 recurve from River's Edge Cutlery. No, DLT Trading. And just wasn't for me. It was a little blocky. I didn't really like the ergos. Didn't like the flipper tab on that one. I just thought it was okay. And if you watch the video where I picked up my Nkosi, I sold the HINDERER to fund the Nkosi, and I love the Nkosi. But I do really like this HINDERER designed ZT built 0562. This is like one of the first more expensive knives that I ever purchased. And it's a little grimy. Sorry, I was using that to break down some boxes earlier. I really like this one a lot. I think it's just superior to the XM18. I like the way it feels in hand. It's not quite as blocky to me. The flipper tab is probably about the same. It does act like a guard, but for me, I think the XM18 had some nicer revisions to the flipper tab. So, you know, I guess take that with a grain of salt, because I really don't like either one that much, but it's really my only complaint. I really like the frame lock. I like the size, the ergos on this much older model knife. But I was just, you know, if you're in this community and you're watching these channels, you're probably familiar with Metal Complex. He's the one that really influenced me to try a HINDERER, and it just wasn't for me. And everyone has different tastes. I in no way, shape, or form blame Metal Complex. He loves the knives because he likes them. You know, he likes everything about them. Like, you just need to watch his channel for a couple weeks to pick up on that. He talks about HINDERERs more than any other channel that I'm aware of anyway. But it just wasn't for me. Didn't really suit me and what I like. But I know that he makes a lot of knives. He has a lot of followers. He has a lot of loyal buyers that really back the brand and buy all kinds of different variants like Metal Complex. I just don't understand how or what it is that is going on where he felt the need to take legal action to someone that just ran a simple test on the steels, it sounded like, instead of, I don't know, reaching out to the company, asking which batch it was. I just think that the way it's being handled is pretty poorly. And from what I understand, the way that he has responded in social media and the things that he has said has really been poorly handled. And I get it. I imagine if I were the owner of a business and someone, you know, in my mind was attacking my product, which is not what was happening. They were just testing, right? And sharing the results of their test. And I'm sure they probably divulged that it is just one test. It is not indicative of what the product may or may not really be. There may be factors that have skewed. I'm sure that was all divulged. But because it was getting so much attention, I feel like that's why he responded. And I think how it was handled is what has people upset. I think that's where the disconnect is. I don't feel like anyone has personally attacked the product. I think there was a test on some steel, it sounds like, and that's what got him upset. And you know what? If it's true, and if there was some out there that weren't done right, I think there's probably some sort of disconnect internally, and I think that it probably needs to be taken less personally, in my opinion. And this is all subjective, right? I don't know the situation. I'm not involved. I don't know squat. I'm just going based off the little bits of information that I've picked up here and there, and I just wanted to touch on the fact that I think it's a little disappointing in that regard. Not in the regard that you're defending your product. If someone's saying all your products are crap, Like, I understand that. I understand the F you there. I don't understand it where if it was in a moment in time where there is some QC issues that happen where something came out that wasn't as good as it should have been or as advertised. In that instance, if you're saying that you're doing something, but you're not living up to the advertised product that you're saying that you're making, then you are wrong. It is not the other person. If I'm telling you that I'm giving you a vehicle that's going to get 30 miles to the gallon, and all the vehicles or a batch of the vehicles that I'm making are only getting 26, I need to apologize. I need to correct that, because I said it's going to do 30, not 26. I can't say you because the vehicle that I sold you on the 30 is getting 26. That's my mindset. I probably should have oversimplified this way back when I started talking about this. But those are my thoughts. I don't know the whole deal with the MICROTECH situation either, but I did want to touch on that because for me, I think it's a bully tactic. I have an axial shift. I think it's a very well-made knife. I think there is no resemblance to a MICROTECH. MICROTECHs are much more slender. They're much more, what's the word I'm looking for? This is a blockier handle, right? This is a much more crude example of an OTF. Outside of the fact that it's an OTF and it has a side deployment switch, there's no resemblance to me to a MICROTECH. MICROTECHs are just more aerodynamic, more streamlined. That's the word I'm looking for. They're more streamlined, more curved, more of a sultry look. This is more of a blocky, boxy look. And I think Axial was going for that intentionally. I think they wanted to build a OTF that was affordable, made in the US, but wasn't going to infringe on the styling design from a MICROTECH. And unless there's something with a patent, with an internal piece of this product that exists that none of us are aware of, or at least the majority of us are not aware of, I can't see where MICROTECH thinks they have a leg to stand on for a lawsuit. And if you believe what Axial is saying and the fact that they have not had any correspondence or contact from any legal stop and desist from MICROTECH, but their MICROTECH is reaching out to vendors reportedly saying, stop selling these products, we're suing them, that to me is just wrong. I think that they're using their influence, their size, and their weight to lean on the smaller ma and pa, for lack of a better expression, dealers, these small dealers that they're threatening to pull their products, and it's probably a product that sells really well off their shelves that brings in revenue, and they can't afford to do that. So I feel like, to me, the perception based on what I've heard and what I've read and what I've seen is that MICROTECH is using their influence. Axial's doing with their products, and I'm not going to be buying any more MICROTECHs. If it comes out and this is completely off base and it's wrong, I apologize. I'll own up to it. But for me, I feel like the way Axial has handled this, I think initially they came out and maybe made a statement that was completely wrong, but from what I saw in River Edge Cutlery Video, which is a vendor that I very much like and appreciate and support, I have had very good experience with them, and I'll continue to come to them as long as that is upheld. But for me, I just feel like MICROTECH isn't a brand that I probably would have gone after anyway. And Axial cut my teeth on OTFs, and I kind of like them now, but I feel like I found myself being a much more loyal brand to Axial. I feel like the way that they're handling it, they're communicating with those vendors. They want to do the right thing. They want to make those vendors feel secure in selling their product, make them feel secure that there is no legal ramification from selling their product. There is no infringement. There is no copyright that's being infringed upon. I just feel like they're handling it a lot better, and I think the fact that MICROTECH initially handled it in a way where they are threatening these vendors, to me, makes me look at them like they're a bully. And I feel like that is taking away from their bottom line in the end. I feel sorry for them, for the vendor, because if they were getting some business, or if they were getting a lot of business because Axial's a more affordable product that is just as good in quality, they probably were selling a good amount of volume. And I feel like that is just really unfortunate that that is who suffers. The small manufacturer and the small mom and pop dealer is really who's going to suffer here. They're the ones that are losing money, not MICROTECH. So for me, I just can't support that. But anyway, let's go ahead and jump into what I really wanted to get into today. I just wanted to touch on those things because I had opinions. I just wanted to put it out on a video. Hopefully it's not offensive to anyone. If you are a fan of MICROTECH, that's all well and good. If I have my facts wrong, I apologize. I have no issues owning that. I tried to collect the information by researching it, reading, and watching some videos, but there's not a whole lot of detail out there. And the truth of the matter is, I don't know the facts. I don't have all the facts, just what my perception is of where we're at as of the time of upload of this video. I just feel really bad that there's some manufacturers out there influencing the community the way that they are so negatively, when they are the ones that support those manufacturers. They're the reason those manufacturers are so big. All right, let's get into it. What I wanted to actually talk to you guys about today is actually going to be lock alternatives. So I love a liner lock and I love a frame lock, but I wanted to just run through some knives that have different type of locks that I've actually found that I really enjoyed, that are good options, that have very good strength, that are pretty well proven in the community and the industry. And actually in some instances, actually in all the instances of the knives that I have today, they're very safe, keeping the finger out of the blade path. Granted, you have to be not paying attention, I feel like, when you're holding or using a liner or a frame lock, for there to be any type of damage. Yeah, if you're trying to do this drop shot action, if you get cut, that's on us, for those of us that like to do it. First, I'm going to bring out a set of Spydercos with their mid-back spring lock. I think these things are really cool. They are easy to one-hand operate. They actually, to me, in my opinion, have a little bit of a fidget factor, but I find that they use these to make the knife more affordable, because it's probably more affordable to produce this type of lock. It is a very unique system on how the spring is integrated into the back here, and that's what causes it to keep pressure for it to actually engage here. It's very much like an old school lock back, except for the fact that you do have the ability to manipulate it one-handed. It's in a good spot for the thumb. They do put the lip on here so that you can kind of start the close and then finish it one-handed. You can slow roll it open, or if you have enough strength and it's broken in, you can flick it out. I've not been able to Spidey flick these. Oh, wait a second. If I can do it twice, I can Spidey flick it. Oh, what? Well, what do you know? You can, I guess when you break it in enough, you can reverse flick it. Let me see. Hold on. I don't want to kick stuff around, getting all excited about. Hold on. So, all right, thumb flick. That felt smoother than the coated blade. Oh, what? I have an extra. Oh my gosh, I'm like stuttering. I have never tried it because I just didn't think it was possible. But there you go. You can Spidey flick the lock back. Yes, y'all can have a laugh at me that I didn't know that. If you want to laugh, that's fine. I really do like those. I feel like they do a good job giving you more premium materials. I know VG10 is a little bit older. I'd like to see them move to a 14C28N and replace their VG10, and eventually I think Spyderco might get there. I don't think they're first to jump on it. I think they actually do a good job testing their steels because they do such a good job with their heat treat, and they do such a good job with their edges. I've never had a Spyderco come with a bad heat treat or edge, and it performed really well. I've had a few that had a little bit of issues with centering, and I think when you mass produce knives like that, I think it's just par for the course. It happens sometimes. I'm going to bring out two other knives here, but I'm going to talk about the other issue. So the compression lock is the other lock that I really like as well. Now, granted, this is not as ambidextrous as the springback lock because you cannot actuate it like you can right-handed with the left hand. You can left-handed stabilize it with the pinky and close it, but I really would recommend getting a compression made easy button from OCD for EDC. Those work very well. The only complaint that I have about it is when the lock comes out, it does go past the scale. I wish they could be made a little bit thinner so that they didn't do that, because even if it meant that I didn't have to, if I had to go in but not as far to operate it, I think it would still make a difference. I'm not going to do that left-handed. Then trying to do it left-handed, because this is just awkward holding it up here like that. I think the compression lock made easier, the CME even coming out just a little bit, like right about there, and pushing it as opposed to coming all the way into pinching it, would make it a little bit easier to actuate. But I do really like this lock, and I wish Spyderco would honestly just make a left-handed version. I think they would have enough support that they could do 5% of their knives manufactured in left hand. I know they have a hard time keeping up with demand with the right hand release, but I think even if they could just manufacture 5% of their total production left-handed, I think there would be enough left-handed consumers out there to buy those, to enjoy them. And even if you're not left-handed, if you like to dual carry, like one in your right and your left pocket, or you like to carry it in your left pocket, or you have a little bit of an ambidextrous nature, you can probably operate these left-handed. But I do like these locks as well. The other one that I'm going to bring out here is not actually the Jumbo. It's going to be my Smock. I like this concept here a lot, because this now makes it to where you can very easily operate it, and actually almost easier left-handed. I do like to actually push the button with my middle finger because it's a little bit lower, but because it's on the scale, I can actually manipulate that very easily left-handed, keeping the thumb on the actual scale to keep that secure in hand and operate it, which is where you're finding the issue here, is because you have to use that. You have nothing to stabilize, which is why I do have to reposition the whole knife to do that, but I do use the pinky just to kind of sandwich it down between the fingers to operate it. So I do actually like their compression lock with the button. This is basically the compression lock with an attachment on there. The compression lock is locked under this lock bar on this knife. It's kind of sandwiched, which is why it's so strong, but again, keeping that finger out of the blade path. So these are two sets of knives from Spyderco that I really like, that are really nice options to a liner lock or a frame lock, that they do offer a little bit of safety in the fact that they keep your fingers out of the blade path, or you can one-hand operate it for convenience. This is in the blade path, but it's pretty safe because they have this big old ramp here that is going to run into your finger before it actually gets to the steel. The next one is probably going to be one of the most popular non-liner lock style knives, and that I'm going to bring out the Bug Out first, because I think this is probably the most well-known outside of the Griptilian and the 940 Osborne. This one here completely keeps the finger out of the blade path. It does clean up all the lines as well. It's a very clean aesthetic because there's nothing going on here. You can just have really good ergos now and have those scales come even to the bottom of the knife, and it ends up feeling more comfortable in hand, and you don't have to really move too far out of the way to operate that compression lock. It works really nice. It is very strong because it is 100% engagement. Does have very good Omega springs. I've had one break on like each knife, but then on the ones that I warrantied out and kept their springs in, hadn't had an issue after that. The Bug Out is the only one that I decided to test the aftermarket springs on, and I've had zero issues with those at all. And I'm running up on coming up to, oh God, almost a year with these springs without having any issues. So let me knock on some wood. The Able lock here does the same thing from Hogue. You can get this on the Doug Ritter. You can get this on their Deca, their SIG K320. They make that for SIG. Hogue makes that. That's another brand that has that style lock. I really like that a lot. This one, I think the cheapest one you're going to get from Benchmade is probably, if you look at like the Freak or the Mini Freak, you can get it for around $100. Maybe inflation might have gone up. If not, there is this Free Tiger, which I have recently declared the best budget version of a crossbar lock because it is the smoothest operation, and the thumb studs were the least painful, not the thumb studs, I'm sorry, the crossbar lock studs were actually the least painful to operate. The thumb studs on here are really well done, and the detent's really nice. This is on ceramic bearings, whereas these are on phosphor bronze washers. Less susceptible to dirt and debris, more susceptible to dirt and debris. But if you regularly maintenance your knife, it's not going to be an issue. Not an issue at all. You can get this one for $30. You can get the bug outs, at least the last time I checked, for $140. You can find them on sale. There was a sale recently for a 20 CV variant that had the gray G10 handles from Blade HQ. They were $120. I'm so upset that I missed out on that. That is a really good buy on the bug out, and I do like this knife. I love it with the titanium scales. I did anodize that. I did a bath anodization and anodization. How the hell do you say that? Anodizing. Oh my gosh, completely wrong. Anodizing. I think it came out really nice. I love it against the darker blue hardware. I know I still have the black hardware on here. I haven't really decided what to do with that because I ended up buying the Pacific Sun crossbar lock because I got tired of the lock stick and didn't want to wait for it to break in. And this lock bar completely eliminated that lock stick. And I don't think I ever did a video on that, but the Pacific Sun lock bar, I don't know what type of coating. I don't know if they do a powder coat anodized or powder coating on there to reduce the lock bar stick, but man, whatever they're making with their lock bars works really well. I do have a little bit of stick with the steel lock bars on the Hogue, but it's very, very minimal. Very, very minimal. It's pretty damn smooth. I think you can get these all day. And remember, this one has 20 CV and it has bidirectional multi-layered G10, also known as G-Mascus. You're getting these for 130 to 140 starting. I think with the black basic model, those are probably the more affordable. And then again, $30, D2, ceramic bearings, and so far an impressive little knife. So this is another knife, and then I'm going to go ahead and move on to my last one. I know this video is running a little bit longer because I did want to touch about just some, regular talk, and then I have one surprise at the end. If you want to continue to hold on, if you made it this far, thank you. Leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on those notification bells if you're already subscribed. Thank you for your support. The last one, and oh, actually I lied. I got two more, but I'll go quickly. The Shark Lock from Andrew Dimko. He has these on his AD20, his AD20.5, and his AD22s. If you're following him on Instagram, he's given us a sneak peek of the 22, which is the same size. It has a 3-inch blade, but it's thicker in geometry. It looks like it's even contoured, and he's making them in-house with fat carbon. They look phenomenal. They have a bigger hole. They've eliminated the thumb stud, and it has a, let me bring out the Shark Lock. The Shark Lock looks like it has a more subtle drop. It looks like it kind of is more gradual to the tip, and then it's really sharp out on the tip, but they are very good looking. But I like this. This is very intuitive to use, even if you're using the hole or if you're using the thumb stud. The Shark Lock, once you've gotten used to how it works, because at first I was just pulling down trying to do it and I kept hanging it up. I didn't realize you have to pull down and out, but once you figure out that motion, it becomes very intuitive and very second nature. So I like that one a lot, and I promised I was going to keep going. If you have any questions about any of the hardware or any of the scales or anything like that, leave it in the comments and I'll let you know where to go, or I'll link it in the descriptions. How about that? Even better. The last one that I wanted to talk about is actually the button lock. This one, even over the Able locks, the Access locks, and the Shark locks, is probably the most intuitive and easiest to quickly learn to manipulate, because even if you don't want to give it the gas, you can just let it fall shut and then you can give it a little shake when it gets to the bottom. But I have found that you can time this really easy, and they either come with a flipper tab or a fuller, or if you want to do like the Elementum, you can use the button lock to deploy them. But I really like to use the intended devices with these. Protex is still the best in my opinion. Civivi's has quickly become one of my second favorites, and my favorite Civivi is actually the Conspirator. The Chevalier is second. The Altus is third. I like the Altus third because it's smaller. I actually almost can fifth pocket carry that, but again, button locks are really nice, and Kaiser makes a couple of good ones. I just didn't vibe with the original, so I got rid of it. Just wasn't for me. I think I got a couple of bad examples according to the comments that I've seen in response to that statement, but mine really just was not enjoyable, and I couldn't see keeping it around. Too soft for me, too small for me. It was even smaller than the Altus. I preferred the Altus. I felt like it was more consistent, and I felt like I got more consistent feedback with the folks that had both, saying that they did also prefer the Altus versus those that were saying they preferred the original. Anyway, you can get the Assassin. You can get now the Beg Lighter from One Mountain Knives. White Mountain Knives. Shout out to White Mountain Knives. I really do like them. I have a link for them down below. If you want to save 10%, just use my discount code when you go shopping there for anything that you purchase from them. Save yourself a little bit of money, which is why I reached out to them to try to get you guys a discount code. Use my links. That helps the channel. I'll get a small, like a really small kickback. It helps go towards like the quarter of a price of a budget knife. But anyway, it does help. It does go towards content. So I appreciate when you use those links. It doesn't cost you anything extra. It's just a small kickback. Now, I did want to leave off with one last surprise, and that is going to be an opportunity to guess what is in the box. This is a Made in USA blade that I'll be debuting on the channel very soon. And if you're interested in that, leave a guess as to what you think this is down in the comments. I'll be very curious to see if you're right. About a week from the time that I release this video, I will get this one out. I'm going to take it and unbox it and go and handle it and everything. Maybe 2 weeks, but it'll be coming soon. Thanks for tuning in again today. I hope all of you have a fantastic week. And until next time, guys, peace.